When I look at LeBron, he's not what Michael was as a player. He's not even what Kobe Bryant was as a player.
That's a tough one to follow. I mean, that's Danny Ainge's opinion, right. And we all have our opinion. But my problem is more so with LeBron. Is if you are the greatest player, if people are saying you are the greatest player, or if people are saying Michael Jordan is the greatest player, why do you need to say it?
Right.
Scottie Pippen just reignited one of basketball's most toxic conversations after defending Jordan's legacy and taking a direct shot at LeBron James by basically saying one thing a lot of old-school players still believe deep down: LeBron never had that killer mentality MJ had. And the second those comments started spreading online, NBA fans completely lost their minds, because anytime Jordan and LeBron get mentioned in the same sentence, the internet turns into absolute chaos within minutes. What makes this so intense is that Scottie Pippen is not some random analyst chasing headlines. This is Jordan's former teammate. This is the guy who stood beside him during the Bulls dynasty and saw firsthand what Michael Jordan was like when the cameras were off. He saw the practices. He saw the trash talk. He saw the obsession. He saw the fear Jordan put into teammates and opponents. So when Pippen starts talking about mentality, people listen differently. Even if fans disagree with him, they know he actually lived through that era. And according to Pippen, there is still a massive difference between greatness and killer instinct. For Michael Jordan, statistically, LeBron James is a better basketball player. And here is why: he fills the stats up across the board night in and night out. You're talking about a kid who can easily average a triple-double if he chooses. Now, obviously, this conversation immediately turned into Jordan fans versus LeBron fans all over again. But the reason Pippen's comments hit so hard is because this debate has never really been about stats alone. LeBron fans can point to the longevity, the all-time scoring record, the assists, the finals appearances, and the insane consistency across 2 decades. Jordan fans will point to the 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, undefeated finals record, scoring titles, and the psychological dominance he had over the league. But when old-school players defend Jordan, they almost always come back to mentality. That dark competitive edge, that willingness to destroy anybody in front of him, no matter who it was. Here's the part nobody is talking about. A lot of former players genuinely believe fear mattered during Jordan's era. Not just respect, fear. Opponents walked onto the court already mentally exhausted because they knew Jordan was trying to embarrass them personally. We've heard story after story for years about MJ inventing grudges in his head just to fuel himself. Teammates have talked about practices feeling harder than actual games because Jordan refused to let anybody relax. That mentality became part of his myth. It turned basketball into psychological warfare. And when Pippen says LeBron never had that same killer instinct, what he is really saying is that LeBron approached greatness differently. Put him number 1 is because there were too many times earlier in his career where he didn't have that assassin's mentality. We look at Jordan and we look, first of all, his 6-0 in NBA Finals. You never looked at MJ and said in a championship series he didn't get it done. And honestly, that is where this debate becomes fascinating instead of just toxic fan arguing, because LeBron's leadership style has almost always been completely different from Jordan's. LeBron empowers teammates. He wants chemistry. He wants everyone involved. He trusts role players in big moments. Jordan wanted to break people mentally and dragged them to championships through pressure and intimidation. We have heard countless stories about teammates being terrified of disappointing him. Some players respected it, some players hated it, but everybody felt it. That edge became part of Jordan's identity forever. This is where it gets dangerous in the debate, though, because killer mentality is one of the hardest things to define objectively. Fans hear that phrase and instantly think clutch shots or screaming at teammates. But it is more complicated than that. LeBron has hit game winners. He has dominated elimination games. He has played through insane pressure since he was a teenager. That is mental toughness, too. But older players often define killer instinct differently. To them, it is about domination and emotional ruthlessness. It is about making the opponent feel hopeless. Jordan specialized in that. And let's be honest, The timing of Pippen saying this makes the reaction even crazier, because his relationship with Jordan has been complicated for years now. There was a period where people thought Scottie resented how The Last Dance portrayed him. He publicly criticized Jordan multiple times after the documentary dropped. Fans started wondering if their legendary partnership was permanently broken. So when Pippen suddenly defends Jordan again and takes a shot at LeBron's mentality, it grabs attention immediately, because people were not expecting him to jump back into MJ's corner this aggressively. What's it like to guard Mike? Yo, Mike, I mean, Black Jesus. The level of fear that he inspired in others was insane. Who do you enjoy talking smack to? Everybody. Was there anybody that you kind of avoided talking smack to because if you did, your spirit got bigger and they wanted to beat you? Michael Jordan. You don't want to mess with. This is where young players usually make a mistake. They think the GOAT debate is only about talent instead of aura. Jordan's legacy is built on moments that became larger than basketball itself. The flu game, the shrug, the trash talk, the last shot in Utah, the stories about him destroying teammates in practice, the gambling rumors, the cigar-smoking confidence. Every piece of it added to this larger-than-life image of a basketball assassin. LeBron's career unfolded differently. He entered the league under more pressure than maybe any athlete ever, but he also grew up in the social media era where every finals loss became a meme instantly. Jordan's mythology had more room to breathe. That doesn't mean LeBron lacks competitiveness, though. And this is where the conversation gets unfair sometimes, because nobody reaches LeBron's level without obsession. Nobody dominates for 20-plus years without insane discipline and drive. Former teammates constantly praise LeBron's basketball IQ, preparation, and commitment to his body. The difference is stylistic. Jordan's competitiveness looks violent emotionally. LeBron's looks strategic and collaborative. One feels like a predator. The other feels like a mastermind controlling the game. But older generations usually romanticize Jordan's style more because it feels tougher. You can't ask me who's the GOAT between LeBron and Michael. Neither one of them are GOATs. They both won differently. You can't put them at the top of the pinnacle. Magic Johnson to me is a bigger GOAT than anybody. And Pippen probably knows exactly how much those comments would trigger modern fans. The second he questioned LeBron's mentality, social media exploded into war instantly. Jordan fans started posting finals records and old clips of MJ terrorizing opponents. LeBron fans fired back with stats, longevity, and the fact that LeBron has beaten historically stacked teams while carrying enormous expectations for 2 decades. Then came the Kobe comparisons, too, because anytime killer mentality enters the conversation, Kobe Bryant's name gets dragged into it immediately. Some fans even argue Kobe had more of Jordan's mentality than LeBron ever did, which adds another layer to the chaos. Here's the part nobody is talking about. The killer mentality argument often becomes emotional because fans connect it to masculinity and toughness. People hear killer instinct and automatically assume the more emotional, confrontational player is mentally stronger. That is why Jordan and Kobe get praised endlessly for their intensity. But basketball history also shows there are different ways to dominate. Magic Johnson smiled constantly while destroying teams. Tim Duncan barely showed emotion at all and still became one of the greatest winners ever. Steph Curry changed basketball without acting like a bully. Different personalities can still produce greatness, but Jordan's style remains uniquely addictive for fans because it feels cinematic. Every story sounds like a movie scene. Jordan taking things personally, Jordan gambling all night then dropping 40, Jordan humiliating teammates in practice, Jordan refusing to lose no matter the cost. Those stories created an image bigger than the numbers themselves. And Scottie Pippen lived through all of it. That is why his opinion still carries weight even decades later. He knows how terrifying Jordan's mindset actually was up close. At the same time, there are people who think this entire killer mentality narrative unfairly dismisses what LeBron has accomplished. Because if LeBron truly lacked that mentality, how does somebody dominate the league for over 20 years? How does somebody come back from a 3-1 deficit against a 73-win Warriors team? How does somebody carry multiple franchises to championships under relentless media pressure for 2 decades? Those achievements require mental strength, too. Maybe not Jordan-style intimidation, but elite mental strength. Regardless, this is where it gets dangerous for LeBron in public conversations, though. Every perceived weakness gets magnified because he is constantly compared to Jordan instead of appreciated separately. If LeBron passes more records, critics move to finals losses. If he wins championships, critics move to killer instinct. If he dominates statistically, critics move to aesthetics and mentality. Jordan's legacy became almost untouchable because it froze in time perfectly after his Bulls run. LeBron's career has unfolded in real time with every flaw dissected publicly for decades. And honestly, that may be why Jordan fans defend him so aggressively whenever these debates happen. To them, Jordan represents the peak of competitive obsession in sports. Not just basketball skill, but competitive obsession. The image of an athlete who would rather destroy relationships than lose a game. That mentality became legendary. Scottie Pippen knows that better than almost anybody, which is why his comments instantly became national NBA discourse. The craziest part is this debate will probably never end, because there is no real answer anymore. One generation values Jordan's dominance, mystique, and undefeated finals record. Another generation values LeBron's versatility, longevity, and ability to thrive under non-stop pressure for over 2 decades. Both sides think they are defending basketball itself. And when former players like Scottie Pippen jump in emotionally, it only makes the divide even stronger. But what Pippen's comments really revealed is that mentality still matters enormously to older NBA legends. They do not just care about stats or accolades. They care about how greatness felt emotionally when they experienced it firsthand. And according to Scottie, Michael Jordan brought a level of psychological intensity that LeBron never fully matched. Whether fans agree or not, that perspective is never going away, because the players who lived through the Jordan era continue to describe him almost like a mythological figure instead of just a basketball player. So now the entire basketball world is arguing again. Was Jordan's killer mentality truly something unmatched in NBA history? Or is the phrase killer instinct just a romanticized way to dismiss LeBron's completely different style of greatness? And more importantly, if LeBron had one with the same personality Jordan had, would fans actually love him more, or would they criticize him for being too ruthless? Because that is the uncomfortable truth hiding underneath this entire debate. Fans say they want killers, but not everybody survives being around that.